Hello there people, and welcome back to a brand new Spain video on my channel. We are back again today with Norway 1, Spain 1. It's going to be the match review. Spain are close now to Euro qualification, but it was certainly an unimpressive display from the Spanish national team. It ends 1-1 in Oslo against a Norway side who were in desperate need of points, as we discussed at the beginning of the match preview. We're now in the review. Lots to discuss regarding the squad selection as a whole, the starting 11s, and of course Robert Moreno as our coach for the future. So plenty to discuss, and let's get started. So there is going to be quite a lot of negatives to look at this video. It wasn't a good performance from the Spanish national team. I was a little bit disappointed. But if we do start with a positive, the group table is still favourable. We're still really clear top of that group, and with Sweden away next, we now know that if we draw against Sweden away on Tuesday evening, we are in the Euros. So that's the positive to take from it, but it was certainly a poor outing from Spain last night. But in terms of the group table, yes, Romania and Sweden won. Yes, Norway have picked up points. Yes, we've dropped points. But even if we draw or beat Sweden, we're in the Euros no matter what. If we just start lineup-wise, Norway actually went exactly as expected. We got that lineup spot on from them. You know, they had that 4-4-1-1 block. Their defence was decently solid throughout the 90 minutes. Jarstein looked pretty comfortable in goal. And Odegaard and King tried to create what they could. Really, what was the few chances they had, especially in the first half, or they had the ball for limited amounts of times. We certainly dominated possession. Whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, we'll come on to later. But for Spain, well, as always, incredibly difficult to predict. But we got kind of the shape right. I knew Moreno was going to go for a load of midfielders. You could just see that with the whole 24-man squad selection. But he did go for a 4-4-2 kind of shape in the end, or 4-4-1-1, quite similar to Norway actually. But we got the personnel completely wrong. He went for Kepa in goal, Navas and Bernat as the fullbacks. He went for Ramos and Albiol in the defence. Four midfielders of Fabian, Ceballos, Busquets and Saul. And up front, Oyarzabal and Rodrigo. So, yeah, we were quite far off there in terms of lineup prediction. But I had a feeling he was going to go in with that, like, you know, the packed midfield, loads of midfielders in there, and I just don't think it helped us. I thought it created a really, really narrow shape throughout the whole 90 minutes, and I just think that we need new personnel in that in order to help us revert back to a 4-3-3, and I'm just not really sure whether he made the right decisions, not only with the squad selection as a whole, but also with the lineup selection last night. So if we move swiftly on to the match action, it wasn't really the funniest game of football. If you watch it as a neutral, probably thinking this could be a good game. It wasn't that good, to be honest. Norway, yes, they were there with a statement, but we did well to nullify them at stages, I suppose. But whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not quite sure. There was a lot of sideways passing. We created a couple of decent chances here and there. The 4-4-2 kind of shape certainly didn't help, or like a 4-5-1 they ended up. It almost meant that Dani Ceballos had to play as a left mid or left winger. And as him, he's one of our most creative midfielders. It really did. It just didn't cause us any good, in my opinion. It made us really narrow on both sides, and actually made it incredibly difficult to create chances against what we knew was going to be a low Norway block. So against sides like these, you really need a 4-3-3 shape with your two right wingers and left wingers, as we've spoken about in previous videos, really creating that width. And our chance creation was poor last night, and I was really, really unimpressed, especially with that first half. You know, lots of possession, and we didn't really create enough, and as I said, the 4-4-2 certainly didn't help that. We got into the second half, and yes, we did start it well. We got that goal through Saul Niguez, and after that, we were able to get some control, and being 1-0 up there was kind of a gift, really. We probably didn't deserve it at the time. We'd created a few chances here and there, getting Navas in on that right-hand side. He was putting a couple of balls across. The only real width we had of the whole day, really, was Jesus Navas, so that wasn't a positive. But yeah, after Saul's goal, we were able to control the ball, but Moreno made some questionable changes. He brought Cazorla on for Ceballos, he brought Rodri on for Oyarzabal, and in the end he brought Inigo Martinez on for Bernat. It really made us incredibly narrow in this game. It really allowed Norway back into it, and it was around about the 90th minute when Norway just kept on getting the ball up. They hammered onto the back post. We meant to bring Martinez on to deal with long balls like this, but it certainly didn't help on this occasion. We'll make a bit of a mess of it. Kepa comes charging out of his goal. There's a big collision, and as soon as it happened, you just felt penalty, didn't you? Michael Oliver points to the spot. It was a controversial one. There's been loads of people on Twitter who've just seen it saying that that's just a collision between both players, and I agree with that. I think both players were going for the ball. Both players equally went into each other with firm eyes on the ball, so I think it was a really harsh penalty to give away, certainly at that point of the game. But what I will say is, though, say that had happened for Spain, I would have been screaming penalty and saying it's blatant. So Yeah, that's one that can go two ways. It's a real shame, though. We didn't want that for Kepa. We really want him to be the number one going into the Euros, and it seems that he has got that spot now, but he's got to be careful with things like that. It's not going to be good for his reputation. It's going to allow De Gea a chance to get back in the team, and we've really got to make sure that we keep Kepa as our number one, because I do think he's the future of the national team, and will be a massive hit for us in the Euros if we do get there this summer. But yeah, Norway converted the penalty, 93rd minute, real sucker punch. You're just thinking, what is the point in this? It was a poor performance. We were thinking we could get away with a 1-0, but it all came too much in the end. Negative substitutions, a negative performance, not enough width, really quite poor team selection in my opinion, and in the end, we got what we deserved. It's a late goal for Norway. It's a point for them that just about keeps them alive. I do think they won't qualify through the group phases. Maybe the Nations League playoffs will help them there. But I just think Romania and Sweden have got a much better chance than Norway do right now. But yeah, shame to drop points, but in the end, we did get what we deserved there by slipping up here in Oslo. If we go through individual performances, of course, we'll just go through each position really briefly. I don't want to drag this on for too long. Kepa had a solid game, didn't really have much to do, did what he needed to, and then gave away that late penalty, which was a shame. Navas defensively, I still really worry about him in a back four. I just feel in a big tournament, are we really going to have Jesus Navas as our right back? I'm not quite sure. But again, he seems to be in favour of Moreno right now, and attackingly, he certainly does give us a lot. I love his balls into the box, and he looks like a real good outlet. But Nat was solid. I think he did his job. I still think Reguilon could definitely offer us a lot, and of course, Jordi Alba, when he comes back, in my opinion, has to be our left back. In the middle of the defence, Ramos, I thought, had a really poor game, actually. You know, I'm not his biggest fan, but when he does put on the national team shirt, I will always get behind him. He's our captain at the end of the day. He is our leader, and you've got to respect what he's done. But on what was a night where, well, it was a really historic night for him and the national team, he became the most capped player for Spain. But again, he didn't really have that good of a game, in my opinion. A bit of a mess in all in all, you know, out of position, getting caught out, and he's now been yellow carded, actually, so he won't be playing the Sweden game. Could it be a loss for us, or could it be a chance to see something else? I'm not sure. Albiol, I was thinking, why on earth is he starting? That's risky, but I'm not going to lie, in that second half, he did save us a couple of goals, so well done to him for recovering his performance. Busquets and Saul look good in that midfield, but in my opinion, there's no need to have both of them together. It's really negative, it's quite defensive, and if you are going to have both of them together, then don't do it in a 4-4-2, then do it in a 4-3-3. Yeah, I don't think you can have Busquets, Saul, Fabian and Ceballos. It worked away to Romania, but I just think we need to go back to the 4-3-3, but all in all, I think all four of those midfielders were pretty good. Busquets and Saul certainly had like good 7 out of 10 games. Ceballos tried, but I just felt as if he was out of position the whole game and really couldn't help us. Fabian had another really sharp game. He looks like an absolute class player for this national team, coming really close on 2 occasions. He hit the woodwork twice, so yes, we could have won this game, but at the same time, that was just a couple of moments of brilliance from Fabian. I don't really think the team performance merited 3 points last night. Then we got up front. Oyarzabal looked lost up there. He certainly needs to be used as a left winger, in my opinion, or even a centre forward. In, you know, sort of not in a straight 4-4-2 position, which was what he was last night. He got bullied. He looked uncomfortable. And Rodrigo Moreno didn't really help us much either, if I'm being honest. Yes, I do think that he offers us a lot. I would pick him for the Euros, in my opinion. I do think he's the sort of striker who could actually be massive for us, and he has been massive for us in the past. He gets goals. But last night, again, he looks a shadow of himself, and it just really wasn't that helpful for us. Players that came off the bench, Cazorla came on, lost the ball almost every time he had it, unfortunately. Someone who I backed to start, someone who I think could actually be a really huge and a great story for us in the Euros, but he certainly didn't help off the bench in this game. Neither did Rodri, really. I backed Rodri. I think he's a great player. And if he is playing in that holding role, then it's great, but he wasn't the personnel player we needed there. It just invited Norway on even more. And Inigo Martinez, you know, we can't really say much about him. He came on to try and help us defend, did all right. We ended up conceding that late penalty, and yeah, it was a shame in the end. But yeah, I just think there's certain things need to improve. I think we need to make sure we go back to the 4-3-3. I think that personnel in the initial squad selection has to change. We look at it, you know, we only have 2 strikers in Rodrigo and Gerard Moreno. You look at wingers, Oyarzabal, and then can you really call Sarabia a winger? He's more of a cam or a right midfielder, if you will. But in terms of straight out winger, he's certainly not that. And other than that, we've actually got no one. Luis Alberto, he's a central attacking midfielder, really. I wouldn't play him on the wing, doesn't have enough pace. And there's not enough. We need to be using a lot of other players, in my opinion. There's plenty here for Spain, and we need to make sure we get the right player profiles in our next squad selection. That'll help us massively. I think that we also simply have to get rid of the passing sideways and lack of game plan system, really. It just has to go. I'm sorry, I thought that with Moreno coming in, he would have been fresh and full of ideas, and yes, he was, but last night's performance was really saddening, in my opinion. And you could kind of also look at that Faroe Islands game. We weren't really impressed with that, were we? But we kind of just thought, well, there's a lot of players in here who won't usually play, but last night, it was a lot of sideways passing. There wasn't a lot of chance creation. It wasn't innovative. We were kind of just hoping Fabiano Ceballos could unlock them at some point, but you know, a goal came out of nowhere, really. It was a pop shot from Saul that ended up finding its way into the corner. Fair play to him, but, you know, we didn't create enough, we didn't look threatening, we didn't look like we had enough pizzazz about us last night, and it was a lot of sideways passing, the sort of performance that you would be getting from Spain at the last 3 international tournaments. So we need to make sure we cut that out of our game, in our opinion, and players like Carlos Perez and Ansu Fati will help us massively in that department, in my opinion. Thankfully for us though, guys, we have got a game away to Sweden this Tuesday. That does give us the opportunity to leave with a good taste here, to go into next international break knowing we've qualified. We only need a point, but let's go in there looking for 3. Let's go ahead and make a statement here. If we get 4 points out of Norway and Sweden away, I'll be happy. So there's still things to be positive about here. I still worry for the squad selection though. I don't really know what he can change because he literally hasn't picked enough wingers in the squad. So we almost have to go with a 4-4-2 or a narrow shape because we don't have wingers, and it's as simple as that. But we'll try and find ways around that. I'll be going more into detail in that in the next match preview, which will be coming out tomorrow evening too, by the way, for you guys. But now, it's time to take some positives. We're close to qualifying, and that's all that matters. We need to keep getting on that training ground, make sure games like these don't happen again. We've just got to address these situations, and we will have positive Euros, I'm sure of that. We've got the players, we've got a young coach here who's got things to learn, and he will be learning them. And in the future, I do think this national team has a good future, but we've got to iron out these sideways passing and stuff like that. And I just think the personnel here also has to change, and the system, etc. But plenty to discuss. I'll be coming back tomorrow night for the Sweden preview. That's going to be another massive game. It's our chance to qualify for the Euros officially, so I'm super excited for that. Without any further ado, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye.